Nobody is born believing that biology and poetry are different things. You were taught that. Somewhere around age 11, a school system put your curiosity into boxes, gave each box a name and a separate teacher and a separate hour, and told you that a serious person eventually picks one box and stays in it. And ever since, when your mind refuses to stay in a box, you've treated that as a discipline problem. It isn't. The boxes are about 400 years old. They are an administrative convenience, not a fact about knowledge. And for most of human history, the greatest minds alive would have found them ridiculous. So today, I want to show you the man who is probably the strongest proof of that. 1,000 years ago, he wrote a medical encyclopedia that European universities were still teaching from 600 years after his death. He also wrote a thought experiment that beat Descartes to the most famous idea in modern philosophy by 6 centuries, almost exactly. And he did not consider those two achievements to be from different fields, because he did not believe different fields existed. In the next 10 minutes, I'll show you 3 things about how his mind worked that you can use this week, including the specific move that unlocked him when he'd been stuck for months, and the moment where his medicine and his philosophy fused into something neither one could have produced alone. This is episode 4 of History's Pattern Weavers. Leonardo showed us the guilt of the unfinished. Hedy Lamarr showed us the pain of being seen as one thing. Franklin showed us the web instead of the ladder. Ibn Sina shows us something more radical than all of them. He shows us that the walls were never real. Subscribe if you want the rest of this series, and let's get into it. First, the resume, because it's genuinely hard to believe. He was born around the year 980, near Bukhara, in what is now Uzbekistan. In the West, he became known as Avicenna. He memorized the Quran by 10. He was a working, practicing physician by 18. And he later wrote, with a confidence that should annoy all of us, that he found medicine not difficult. At around 17, he cured a ruler that the court physicians had given up on. He was offered a reward. He didn't ask for money, he asked for access to the royal library, which was one of the great collections of the age, and he read his way through it. Across a life of roughly 57 years, he wrote something like 450 works. Around 240 survive. 2 of them changed the world. One was a vast encyclopedia of philosophy and science. The other was the Canon of Medicine, which became the standard medical textbook not just in the Islamic world, but across Europe, taught in universities like Montpellier and Louvain into the 1600s. 600 years of doctors trained on one man's book. He also proposed that some diseases spread through something too small to see and recommended isolating the sick to stop it. He laid out rules for how to test whether a drug actually works. He wrote on astronomy, geology, music theory, logic, and poetry. And he did almost none of this in comfortable conditions, which we'll come back to, because that part is important for you. So here's the first thing about how he thought, and it's the heart of this whole video. He treated knowledge as one continuous fabric. To Ibn Sina, medicine was not a separate profession from philosophy. Understanding the human body and understanding the nature of existence were the same investigation conducted at different scales. Logic wasn't a subject you studied, it was the tool you used everywhere. Astronomy, music, and metaphysics were regions of one landscape, not separate countries with border control. And this wasn't just a nice attitude, it's the reason his medical book dominated for 6 centuries. The canon's real power wasn't that it contained secret cures, it was the organization. He took a chaotic, sprawling inheritance of Greek, Persian, Indian, and Arabic medical knowledge and imposed a rigorous logical structure on it, so that a physician could actually find and reason about what they needed. Notice what happened there. He applied a philosopher's tool to a doctor's problem. The systematizing mind of a logician pointed at medicine. A pure physician would not have thought to do that. It took someone who was fluent in both and who didn't see any reason those 2 fluencies should stay in separate rooms. That's your first mirror. When you carry a tool from one of your worlds into another, that is not you being unfocused. That is the single most reliable way anyone has ever made something new. Second thing, and this one is the most practically useful story in this entire series. He got stuck, badly, and the thing that unstuck him came from outside. In his own autobiography, he describes trying to understand Aristotle's metaphysics. He read it, by his account, 40 times. He says he practically memorized it, and he still could not grasp what Aristotle was actually driving at. He despaired of it and walked away, convinced the book was beyond him. Then one day, in a bookstall, a bookseller pushed a cheap secondhand volume on him. He didn't want it. He bought it mostly to get rid of the man. It turned out to be a commentary on the metaphysics by an earlier philosopher, Al-Farabi. He read it, and the whole thing opened. The wall that 40 readings couldn't break came down because he picked up one small book from an adjacent shelf. He was reportedly so relieved, he gave money to the poor in thanks. Sit with that, because it's your life. 40 attempts inside the field did nothing. One thread from beside the field solved it instantly. This is precisely how a pattern weaver mind works, and precisely why you should stop feeling guilty about the wandering. The times you've been genuinely stuck and then something from a completely unrelated interest of yours suddenly cracked it open, that wasn't luck. That's the mechanism. Being stuck usually doesn't mean you need to try harder inside the same box. It means you need a thread from outside it, and you have more of those than almost anyone. Third thing, and I want this one to land for anybody who's waiting for conditions to be right. He worked in chaos. We tend to imagine great scholars in silent libraries with unlimited time. Ibn Sina's life was nothing like that. He lived through political collapse. He served as a vizier, doing real administrative work for rulers. He was on the run more than once. He was imprisoned, and he wrote while imprisoned in a fortress. He wrote at night after full days of political duties, often with students around him in cities he'd been forced to move to. 450 works, produced in a life of near constant interruption and instability. You do not need ideal conditions. You need a habit of working in the conditions you actually have. That's the whole lesson, and I think a lot of us needed it. Now the moment where it all fuses, and this is the part that should give you chills. Ibn Sina asked a question. What is a self? What is it that makes you, underneath everything? So he built a thought experiment, and it's known as the floating man. Imagine a person created, fully formed, in an instant, suspended in empty air. Their eyes are covered, their limbs are spread so nothing touches anything. No sight, no sound, no touch, no smell, no memory, no body sensation of any kind. Complete sensory nothing. Would that person know they exist? Ibn Sina argued yes, absolutely yes. Strip away every single input from the world, and there is still an awareness there that knows itself. Therefore, the self is not merely the sum of the senses. There is something there that is prior to all of it. If that sounds familiar, it should. It is essentially, I think, therefore I am. And Ibn Sina died in 1037. Descartes published in 1637, 600 years, almost to the year. But here's what I actually want you to notice. Look at who could have constructed that experiment. A pure philosopher would not have had the physiological precision to strip the senses away one by one, systematically, and know what was left. That's a physician's knowledge of the body. A pure physician would never have asked the metaphysical question in the first place or known what to do with the answer. That's a philosopher's instinct. The floating man exists in the overlap. It required a man who spent his days treating bodies and his nights arguing about the nature of being, and who never once thought of those as two different jobs. It is not an achievement of medicine or an achievement of philosophy. It's an achievement of the space between them, and the only people who can work in that space are people carrying both. So here's what to take with you. The walls between your interests were installed by other people relatively recently for reasons that had nothing to do with truth. Ibn Sina didn't cross the walls. He never accepted them, and he produced a body of work that ran European medicine for 600 years and beat modern philosophy to its own founding idea. You've been apologizing for having interests in different boxes. There are no boxes. There is one landscape, and you happen to be one of the few people still willing to walk across all of it. Next time in this series, we meet a woman raised specifically to have poetry beaten out of her. Her father was one of the most famous poets in the world. Her mother had her drilled in mathematics to keep her from turning out like him, and she fused the two into something she called poetical science. 100 years before there was a computer to run it on, she looked at a machine everyone thought was a calculator and realized it could compose music. Ada Lovelace, next time. Before you go, tell me in the comments, Ibn Sina got unstuck by a book from outside his field. What's your version? Which of your interests once solved a problem that belonged to a completely different part of your life? Drop it below. I want to see how many of you have the same story. Thanks for watching. Now go walk across a wall.